go to holy places, and by chance get into the rest of the sadhus and the holy name, and listening to the nectar. And some souls are waiting those chants. And anyway, our Ambarish Maharaj is going to speak on the next session regarding that Kartik month. Yeah, so today I'm trying to speak about the false ego. Generally, false ego, what do you mean? This ahankara is every living entities having, it is a part of that, but how you use it and way to use it, that is, leave it to the individual. So I just would like to start some Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudirahe. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha. Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindayo Namo Namaha. Om Ajnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitamena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Namo Mishtapadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschaita Deshatarine. Vancha kalpotaro basya krupa sindhubbe vacha patita pavanabha vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. So Grantaras, we are talking about today is discussing about Srimad Bhagavatam, and the chapter, the Canto 5, chapter 12, and verse number 12. And this is very one of the important verse, and to especially purify the materialistic people. So Rahuganaita tapasa nayati na chejaya nirvapanat gruhadva na chandasa naiva jalagni suryayai vina mahat pada rajobhishekam. Rahuganaita tapasa nayati na chejaya nirvapanat gruhadva na chandasa naiva jalagni suryai vina mahat pada rajobhishekam. Word by word meaning. Rahugana, O King Rahugana, etat, this knowledge, tapasa, by severe austerities and penance, nayati, does not become revealed, not, cha also, ijjaya, by a great arrangement for worshipping the deity, nirvapanat, or from finishing all material duties and accepting sannyasa, gruhat, from ideal householder life, va, or, nor, chandasa, by observing celibacy or studying Vedic literature. Na eva nor Jalagni Suryaya, by severe austerities such as keeping oneself in water, in a burning fire, or in the scorching sun. Vina, without Mahat of the great devotees. Pada Rajaha, the dust of the lotus feet. Abhishekam, smearing all over the body. So, translation purport given by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. My dear King Rahugana, unless one has the opportunity to smear his entire body with the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, one cannot realize the absolute truth. One cannot realize the absolute truth simply by observing celibacy, brahmacharya, strictly following the rules and regulations of householder life, leaving home as a vanaprastha, accepting sannyasa, or undergoing severe penances in winter by keeping oneself submerged in water or surrounding oneself in summer by fire and the scorching heat of the sun. There are many other processes to understand the absolute truth, but the absolute truth is only revealed to one who has attained the mercy of a great devotee. Purport. Actual knowledge of transcendental bliss can be bestowed upon anyone by a pure devotee. Vedeshu durlabam adurlabam atma bhaktav. One cannot attain the perfection of spiritual life simply by following in the directions of the Vedas. One has to approach a pure devotee, anyabhilashita sunyam, jnana karmadi anavrutam. By the grace of such a devotee, one can understand the absolute truth, Krishna, and one's relationship with Krishna. A materialistic person sometimes thinks that simply by executing pious activities and remaining at home, one can understand the absolute truth. That is denied in this verse. Nor can one understand the absolute truth simply by observing the rules and regulations of brahmacharya celibacy. One only has to one only has to serve the pure devotees. That will help one understand the absolute truth without fail. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumulatamena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. So, and this is very beautiful verse and very significant section of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Acharyas compare the Srimad Bhagavatam different limbs of the body. The first two cantos, they are referring to the lotus feet of Krishna, and the person stands upon his feet. So the basic knowledge which is required for perfection or by practice of bhakti, brief description of the creation, Virat Rupa. All the basic information is there in the first and second cantos. So the first two cantos describe practically all the basic information, and Srila Prabhupada also mentions that all the information I have given in my purpose in the first cantos. Then the third canto, the description about Hiranyaksha plundering the universe and taking all the resources of the universe for his sense gratification. We know that earth planet is dumped in the filthy place, and so there's no way, to rescue unless the Supreme Lord, he took the boar and bring it to the place in the land. So this is how the demons sometimes so enemies of the Lord. So they do all these nonsense things, and so that's for his sense gratification. So gradually the concept of enjoyment, Nirishwarvada or Nirishwara Sankhya, that means the concept of the material creation without acknowledging of supremacy of the Supreme. So Hiranyaksha wanted to plunder all the resources and enjoy on his own. So therefore he says that the concept of all the different material elements, but without acknowledging who was the controller, that is introduced Nirishwara Sankhya. And to demolish that Supreme Lord, in the form of Lord Kapil Dev appear, and he establishes Sankhya with proper understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the ultimate controller. The concept of how this creation is controlled by the Supreme is established beyond the doubt between 19 and 32 chapters of the third canto. And just making some brief, talking about the Bhagavatam chapters. After this, I'll go to the real subject matters. And then fourth canto describes how various material activities can be used in the Lord's service, karma yoga. That means we have the pastimes of Dhruva, Prutu, and Prachini Barishat, who are all engaged in activities, and how these activities can dovetail with connection with Krishna, and how one can attain pure bhakti through these activities, describes in the fourth canto. Then it says in the fifth canto is filled with instructions, so that he compares to Jnana Yoga. That means understanding and knowledge, which ultimately culminates with surrender to Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have instructions of Rishabdev to his sons. Instructions of Rahuguna, and he compares to belly also, because the belly contains intestines and all other things. So all of these different planetary in the creation, in the description of that, he compares belly part. So with all of this information and knowledge, then the sixth canto describes how the conclusion and culmination of process of bhakti is the holy name. And so it begins with the pastimes of Ajamila, and how the holy name is the power of purity and uplift the people, even the most fallen condition. So the power of bhakti to transform, irrespective all of material situation, birth, etc., is described. And so we have pastimes of Ajamila, Rudrasura, and all these. Ultimately, bhakti is so powerful, then all other material consideration are not much consequence. Then the seventh canto he compares to the arms. So the sixth canto compares to the chest, the heart, and the seventh canto is like the arms of the Lord. The seventh and eighth cantos, what do the arms do? Arms take away and give. So the seventh canto and eighth canto describes all these activities, taking and giving. Like Hiranyakashipu, he taking from the demigod. Even though we know that Hiranyakashipu, he did a great tapasya, to some achievement. But that achievement, what he wants to, not serving to the Supreme, but he wants to enjoy. He want to become master. This is how he did the great tapasya for his, sense gratification, to make sense gratification. And you know that his son was born, and Prahlad Maharaj. But from the womb itself, he got a chance to hear nectar from the Narada. So this is how the fortunate soul, to contact with the devotees. And Narasimhadev appearing, taking from Hiranyakashipu and giving to Prahlad. Then the demigod fighting against the demons and taking control. Then Bali Maharaj fights back, takes control, takes over, and then churning of the milk, ocean, Lord appears and takes from the demon, and Mohini Murti gives the nectar to the demigods. And then Bali Maharaj controls universe. Vamanadeva comes and takes over from Bali Maharaj and then gives to the demigod. See, this is taking and giving. So giving and taking, this is how in these cantos elaborately described. So then subject as giving and taking, what subject matters, like arms. That is mainly the arms will do. The ultimate, if you surrender to Krishna, if you give away to Krishna, then Krishna will give himself to you and talks and takes away all other resources and other things. Other opponents, like it takes away what? Other opponents, enemies. And that is the conclusion given in the churning of the milk ocean, that all other conditions were same. Evam suragana samadesha kalaha. But the only difference was Krishna was with demigod, and therefore he helped demigods, takes things away, and then he gives to them. The ninth canto compared to the neck, and it describes that the body narrows towards the neck and leads to the face. So he says the introduction of the Soma dynasty, the Surya and Chandra, we are all know um, previously till the 8th canto, so many other dynasties and description have been given, but now all of these dynasties then finally come to narrow down to the appearance of Lord Ram and appearance of Krishna. So just like lead to the face, the whole body narrows down to the neck part. So then gradually brings the Lord Ramachandra towards end of the 9th canto. It describes how Krishna appeared in the Chandra dynasty, and Ramachandra was in Surya dynasty and Krishna was in Chandra dynasty. And then ultimately it leads to the lotus face of the Lord. In 10th canto, the beautiful smiling face of Krishna. And then the 11th canto is like a forehead. And forehead beautify the face. And therefore, the description between the excellent, beautiful qualities of bhakti and adds to the bhakti smiling face of the Lord. And then the 12th canto is the conclusion. It just covers all the aspects, and it is like top of head. So in these ways, the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, they have sequential progression of realization. And therefore, the 5th canto today, what we are discussing in this is referring to varying instructions which are given primarily distinguished among great personality, specifically on the path of surrender to the Supreme. And this particular sloka, and if you see, there are several chapters discussion between both the personalities, and in this particular sloka, Rahugana Maharaj getting essence of all the instructions, that before the sloka and after the sloka, so many instructions are given. The entire chapter will come forest of material enjoyment. And in previous chapter also, so many descriptions are made. But he's saying that ultimately, this is the essence of all the instructions which one has to understand. Rahuganaita tapasa na yati. Series of various paths of self-realization is given, but conclusion is what? Vinamahat pada rajo abhishekam. So what is the problem? The soul is pure, but right now it is contamination. So there is anartha contamination. Where is the contamination? Contamination is not on the body. Contamination is within. 10th canto Bhagavatam describes Kalena snana sauchabhyam samskarais tapasa jaya. Sudyanti danai santushtya. I forgot the word. Santushtya. Sudyanti danai santushtya. Dravyani atma vidyaya. So different types of purification. Body is purified by snana, by taking bath. Kala, various things like a rock and mountains are purified by course of time. Sauchabhyam, material things like pots and vessels are purified by cleansing. Samskarai, birth is purified by samskara. Tapasa, senses are purified by austerity. Ijjaya danai, possessions and objects are giving in charity to whom? To Brahmanas. Flower is impure, but when you offering to the Lord, it becomes pure. Money is impure. When you offering in charity, it becomes pure. And Sudyanti danai santushtya. The mind is purified by satisfaction. And atma vidyaya. The soul is purified by self-realization. So here, King Rahuguna having false ego or ahankara. He is supposed to have the Raja Rishi's qualities, but he was totally under the influence of passion and ignorance modes due to madness, foolish, you can say, muda. He is chastised Jadabharata with uncalled for and contradictory words. Even though Jadabharata was a topmost devotee and dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, therefore, if you have to purify our consciousness, the process is self-realization. And Prabhupada made the book, first people start read self-realization. See, you can see so many questions and answers, in all the degree to understand what is, Atma, what is the body. It's a nice description, nice question and answer, and also some detail is given in Srila Prabhupada purports. This the book is called Self-Realization. Sometimes it's internal. So the word Abhisheka refers to bathing. A process of bathing, cleanse and purify, or say consecrate, make secret, consecrate, make secret. So when this word says Padaraja Abhishekam, so that means it refers to bathing with the dust. One has to bathe with the dust. Just like in Abhisheka, when you do the Abhisheka to the Lord, we use the banana flour, mix with the different colors and bathe it upon the Lord. That is Abhisheka. But question here is, this Abhisheka is what part of our system? Because if you pour water, it just goes on the body. Therefore, if we cleanse our body is within, then the soul has to be purified, and that contamination is covered. The soul is the contamination of false ego. And therefore, this misconception of the false ego is to be purified, and hence Mahat Pad Raja Abhisheka means the foot dust of a great devotee. It purifies. The misconception of the false ego within and reinstates, I am the servant of Krishna. The anartha is, I think, I am the body, I am male, I am Indian, I am this, I am that. This, I am powerful, I am advanced, I am rich. So all these misconceptions are the impurities. And therefore, to purify, we need to take the shelter of the process. And the process referred to here is Mahat Pada Raja Abhisheka. So you bathe in the foot dust of great devotee and purify the false ego. It is attack on false ego, process of dissolving the contamination of the false ego. It is like a chemical. When we suppose if we have a steel, like we call a mild steel, you can say steel generally, you can understand. If the steel over a period of, when you expose in the outside, over a period of, it get rust. Yes. And so what we have to do, we have to get rid of the rust, we have to apply the chemical to get rid of the rust. So therefore, how do we administer this chemical? So it is said in the 4th canto, Prithu Maharaj said, Saha uttama sloka mahat mukhyato bhavat padamboja sudha kanalila smutim punar vismrta tattva vartmanam vismrta tattva vartmanam. So and the next one was next word was the sloka. Next, kuyoginam no vitarati alam vairaha. So this sloka. So this foot dust is actually first administered through the ears, and ears is very important in the beginning. And he says that sa uttama sloka mahat mukhachato, that the great devotee, when they speak mahat mukha, from the mouth of great souls, chuto, what falls? Particles of saffron connected to the lotus feet of Krishna. Bhavat padamboja sudha kanalila. So Krishna's lotus feet as foot dust, that is compared to saffron particle placed on the Lord. So great devotees, Mahatmas, are ones who are constantly touch with Krishna's lotus feet. That means they are constantly serving Krishna, hearing Krishna Katha. That means constantly vision. That means vision, always vision, how I can use things for the Lord. Service, bhakti vilochanena. Right now, any object of this material, of this world, any opportunity, any circumstances, I think how I can the center and how I can enjoy. But Mahatma means is constantly thinking how Krishna can enjoy. So therefore, is the constant touch with Krishna of on his lotus feet. So Bhagavat Padambuja Sudha Kanalila, because serving Krishna's feet, he is carrying also that flavor in his heart. And when he speaks, the sound vibration carries saffron dust particle. And therefore, when gives submissive oral reception to those instructions, then that saffron dust particles of Krishna's lotus feet enters into our heart, and that gradually dissolve the contamination of false ego. Tada rajastam bhava kama lobhadayashtaye chetayeter anaruddham stitam sattvam prasiddhati. And therefore, the process of hearing, one becomes purified, and therefore, if someone not sufficiently purified enough to sit patiently to hear, this is very important. That's why we are keep discussing, we are attending the programs and discussing among the devotees to keep hearing. And we know this material word keep forgetting, but we have to keep hearing. This is very important from the like-minded devotees. Then he may have to engage in other physical activities of service, and also we can do some service, cleaning the temple, cooking for the deities, the Lord, and serving prasadam to the devotees. These are all physical activities again. So, and also here, and also we have to do the activities. So, and has to engage in the close proximity. This is very important. Close proximity of the great souls. And has to engage in the close proximity of the great souls. So that by somehow coming in contact with those devotees, some passion and ignorance are destroyed. And he becomes purified sufficiently so that he can hear. So the actual process of cleansing is hearing. That's what say Prahlad Maharaj says, Shravanam first. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. Shravanam is very important. But one may be too impatient and too passionate to sit and hear, or too ignorant and not understand the whole. So somehow, ena kene prakarena, somehow or other, because of coming in contact with such devotee, either by Ajnata Shukriti or someone by serving, even not knowing glory of this service, if he becomes attained, that a devotee, he becomes purified and cleanse his heart completely. Like you see Ajamila, it's not the intention of chanting the holy name, but you just chanting his son Narayana at the difficult position, but ultimately he got a better position. He escaped from the hellish life. Like Narada Muni initially, you see another example. Like Narada Muni initially connected with physical, and that physical proximity brought him with contact with Bhakti Vedantis. He did not know, their greatness. He did not know their glories, and somehow or other, he just connected and attached. I'm doing service, just physical service, and gradually that connection purified him. And just 1 second, just looking the time for I am not too long. So, and that gave him sufficient purity to hear, and that hearing process ultimately led him to perfection. And this is the way Mahat Pada Rajo Abhishekam is the very powerful process of purification. So here, here this verse, Rahugunatait tapasana yati. This is most important principle of hearing submissively from great souls. And therefore, all other processes are being discarded. So here, Jadabartha telling to Rahuguna, Etai tapasana yati. Etad refers to this knowledge. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of the absolute truth. Knowledge of Krishna. So generally, in the material world, by getting connected to the mundane education, you get a knowledge. And all of us fascinated, by knowledge, because that knowledge getting big degree, big institute, and gives you better power to control. So ultimately, entire creation runs under the concept of control. And that's what Prabhupada used to say, in MIT. Actually, if the MIT means what? Maya Institute of Technology. That's how he sometimes, you come across, oh, this institute, many devotees, this big institute, many graduation around the world, they come. And Prabhupada asked one question. When one time he was in MIT to give a class, do they talking about any spirit soul or talking about God? But he could not get that, Then he said, this Maya Institute of Technology is producing all Maya's people, So this, you have to be very careful. I know in this material world, we have all the education, but we have to use it, in truth for Lord, how to help to understand the other people, to get connect with this. What is the body, what is not, what is spiritual. This is the real education. And in the pure sense, Krishna wants to be controlled by the love of his pure devotees. And pure devotees wants to be controlled by the love of Krishna. This is the ultimate. And when we serve, voluntarily, to serve the Lord, to hear more and more, then our false ego, ahankara, will slowly diminish. And this is our this is our realization, and this is our end to this sloka. And if anybody wants to have any comments or any questions regarding to the subject matter, please welcome. Hare Krishna.
Dhanavad Pranam Prabhu.
Hare Bhagavatam.
Please accept my humble obeisances. How are you?
Somehow we are surviving by the lots of the mercy of the devotee and Guru and Krishna. Yeah, Prabhuji.
So, Prabhuji, I was just hearing about your translations about Srimad, from the Srimad Bhagavatam, I think. Okay.
Yes.
And there are a lot of points you had, talking about false ego and, materialistic things, how the people, how the devotees getting engrossed, how the people getting engrossed with the materialistic things, So I just have a question, Prabhu.
Yeah, please.
I see a lot of the devotees, even in the ISKCON also, to be very honest, even in the ISKCON Auckland also I saw it. Okay. Yeah. So they do so much of the bhakti and so much of the things, but then finally, why they still attached with the false ego? Why they still attached with the false ego? That's my question.
Why they attached with the false ego? See, to become a pure bhakti, pure devotee, to come to understand completely. And Prabhupada used to say, this Krishna consciousness is not a overnight to clear all our contamination. This is one of the contamination, false ego. It is the process. And when you say the devotee is still having that false ego, when you come across, but thing is a, because the modes which, and the like we know three modes, like a passion and ignorance, and these are the main the modes to hampering our the consciousness. So when you are in sattvic mode, that means, yes, so what need to understand, what need to be behave, and these things very important for a devotee to 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 come to that level. Means we have to be purified first in our heart. When you purify in our heart, then the way of uh, 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 action, the way of talking, the person is quite different. Like you see in the, like when we meet like a devotees, like a the advanced devotee, in the sense like he knows what to talk, what to talk. He did not even go out of the topic. He always talk nicely. That means he is purified. you know when you purify, this ahankara will diminish. For example, this is part of our life, but as long as you're using um, um, in the right path. For example, like Hanumanji, he's also got ahankara, but how did he use? He used for the satisfy for the Lord Ram. So this is very important. To false ego means it cannot be go straight away, but it is the process. But when the process means the devotee keep hearing, keep serving, and the when you come to that level, means it takes some time. I know, because this is a hospital, and Prabhupada used to say this Krishna consciousness is like a hospital. When you hospital, you see all kinds of people. Like one is this disease, one is a different disease. So that means it is a process, and it takes some time to come off this it's we cannot say 100% yes, devotee means always, but it takes some time. That's what my understanding with the person, Prabhuji.
Okay. So then, Prabhu, I mean, how do I can elaborate the things? I don't also have that. I mean, what I demonstrate, or what I'm not the one to be demonstrate, but what I have a practical experience,
Yep.
Particularly when we saw about, just more and more specific with the, materialistic things,
Yep.
okay. So sometimes, which is, I think Prabhupada also never, or want that thing, or Prabhupada had never given the order to the devotees to do all these things, but still, in order to run the temple, or in order to do for their own benefits, some devotees also do a lot of things, like they do Navratri festival, and they do lot of other, color festivals and everything, which I think Prabhupada never had told, Prabhu, if I'm not wrong, if maybe correct me, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. See, for example, I came to New Zealand, you know,
Hmm.
almost 20 years ago. If you
Yeah.
see if you look in the beginning in the temple, um, I only know the temple was celebrating main celebrities, like like Ramanavami, Krishna Janmashtami, Radha Ashtami. That's all I can see. But the one thing is, I don't want to comment on that, um, because sometimes in this material world you can see four kinds of people. They come to the temple, that.
Yeah.
And one is got a inquisitive knowledge, that. One come from the material, so some souls, they're looking for something. They come to, they, because they relish, like you guys say Navaratri, some people they celebrated, they come to the. So some souls are the inquisitive, they wanted to come. By chance they may take this holy name, and they may get that opportunity to become Krishna conscious. um, I know it's very important when you celebrate whatever the celebration. You need some. That's what I felt when whenever any celebration going, always some discussion is going on, always some preaching is going on, always some lecture is going on. So it's not just by just come and do celebration and no, but you have to hear more and more nectar or lectures regarding to that. So once you have that opportunity, there is no wrong in the celebration, because ultimately what people should the conditioned souls, innocent souls, to get an opportunity to become Krishna conscious.
Because the idea was that because I do also believe Navratri and everything, Prabhu. Okay, but when in the temple, we hear that there is a Bollywood song is going on in the dandiya in the temple. Even it's in our temple, in the ISKCON temple, just for some sake of a money, I mean, devotees do, but Prabhupada never teach us to do all these things. If I'm not wrong, Prabhu, that's the thing. Because when we're talking about Navaratri, Navaratri is to please Ma Durga, to do service. Okay, so where does this Bollywood songs comes? Where does this all other things comes? I'm not getting the point. And then also, which is against the principle of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, or Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. So still, I mean, devotees get more and more. I mean, is it a kind of a puffed up thing, or I don't have any other words? Sorry about it, Prabhu. Please don't take any offense.
Because we are in the online, so I don't want to comment on that. But as I said, on that, because those souls, as long as come to, because ultimately they come to the temple, at least that is very important. It doesn't matter, at least instead of going to the pub or something else, at least they get a chance to come to the temple. Who, even though when they listen Bollywood or whatever, Hollywood or whatever, at least they come to know at least holy Nam. This is how I understand, but people have that at least opportunity come, even though they are in the different world, but at least this holy name is very important. And it is good, those out of many, you see that many thousands of people will come, at least some souls are hankering those things, at least they will get opportunity. So that's what I would like to say. Prabhuji, I'm sorry, I'm not given the full answer to you. This thanks, Prabhuji.
No worries. Thanks very much, Prabhuji. Thanks for
Hare Krishna, Madhavendra Puri Prabhu, thank you very much for your class. And Abhiram Prabhu, thank you very much.